Are you all right?
I'm very fine. It's been a blessed week, I must say. So I'm very excited.
Great.
It is a Friday. Remember, this is the week when the president is the lockdown. So we saw people going back to business.
Is it this week?
It is this week because he spoke on Saturday, then he spoke on Friday, then the taxes were supposed to begin on, that is Monday. So other businesses, apart from arcades, having some complications, but I want to say it's been a fairly good week. It is the week where we got our first gold that is medal at the Olympics.
But it's okay.
So there's so much interesting things that have happened this week, and of course even today we believe, because we are having a number of our Olympians there running today, and we have the men, 3 will be participating, and also we shall have winning Nyonyintono to do that. So I want to say it has been fairly a very interesting week, at least something to write home. It is the week that His Excellency also okayed midterm NSSF benefits for the savers. So generally there is so much good, at least, talk about this week.
And of course, speaking about good, also yesterday and the other day we saw a couple of members of the UPDF being retired, totaling to over at least 180 officers, which is something good, and it's been quite unprecedented. We saw a couple of high officials, even private, the ranks of private warrant officers, just to mention but a few. Now they will be back in community to see how they can contribute as, of course, the word is reserve army, no longer into a force of action. But of course, even international scene match is happening. Now, we did get breaking news also that one of the Ugandans has been signed into NBA. And I think that's a story we wouldn't want to touch much, to leave Ruben give us the insight of that. But also, guess what? The marriage between Lionel Messi and Barcelona seems to have hit the verge of collapse.
I can't wait for Ruben to give us the details of that, because some feel that the club has not been royal enough to this is the player, and that is a question.
Well,
that
depends where you're standing. Depends where you're standing to say that. I don't know how much royalty, because he has never offered free service. He has been there as a worker, and just like any employee. There's time to live, there's time to, I mean, everything has its time. That's what the Bible says, it's time to weep, time to have. And I guess for him, but the football Messi has played, we don't doubt that he has ended his career bad. He has ended his career with Copa America, he has at least been able to win championships. I mean, all these things, all these accolades. So there's no doubt he's not a loser, even if he decided to retire now. But of course, much and that's what Ruben will be giving you. And of course, also will be having some participation in the Olympics. I guess today, we expect to have Nyonyintono, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, today we have Nyonyintono who will be running.
So we expect, and I also pray for you, dear beloved. Hope that you make it just like Chemtai did. But also in the other studio,
there is something very interesting, that we expect all Ugandans from 3, because the men, that is Chiplimo Jacob, Chiptegei Joshua, and Chirimo Oscar, will be running the 500, that is meters, and that is going to be at 3 p.m. Ugandan time. But then 15 minutes later, we expect to see winning Nyonyintono also hit a track that is running in the 1,500 meters. And these are finals, these are not qualifiers. So we either get the gold, we get the silver or the bronze. But we hope and pray that they bring home gold.
Well, we're praying for you guys, and we know that by the grace of God, you have done these things, and it's time for you to do it again. But also in the other studio, we have Priscilla Nalwoga, aka Nali, with Steve Case. Good morning, Priscilla. Well, as we wait for Priscilla to link up with us and of course share with us what's going on in the other studio, I'll also ask Robert. Now today, as I said earlier, and I will raise emphasis, do you have any experience with alcohol? Either for a friend or yourself or family?
Yes, I think every Ugandan has an experience.
You don't?
I just want to believe, because actually when you look at rankings, Uganda is one of the countries that lead in consumption of alcohol. My experience first was as a young man, of course, growing up. Yes, I come from a very strong Christian background, but at some time there's peer pressure. So I got in touch with this bottle. But one thing I realized is the headache I used to get. Whenever I would try it out, it would be headache, and I was like, no, this thing may get me nowhere. But I have an experience of a friend. This is a person, we went out together, have fun, and he stood up only to hit his head on the floor. I tried to lift him, get him home. but the guy couldn't. And I'm like, oh, so this thing at times can make you, if maybe extremely consumed, you can become a public nuisance. And I've seen many people turn into public nuisances. But I've also heard that there are people who get so addicted and only need alcohol, that is to perfect certain services. I've heard that there are medical doctors. I've heard there are good maybe soldiers. I've heard that one of the things that enables them to perfect the art of what they do is alcohol. It's the fake bottle.
Well, again, do not forget to share with us your experience of alcohol. Now, today being International Beer Day, I would want to hear what alcohol did to you or didn't do to you. Now, good morning, Priscilla, over there.
Good morning to Uganda. Welcome to Special Friday. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, but on Friday maybe we can go with Nali. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you. Now today I am the artist of the day. Yes, if you didn't know, I can play a piano. If you didn't know, I can sing, but that one you knew. Last Friday I sang. So this Friday I'm going to sing and play keys. But speaking of keys, this morning we are joined by a gentleman who has keys in his name, and he is called Steve Keys. He's going to be my backup and I'm going to be the official artist. Anyway, that's a really serious joke. But speaking of serious jokes, this one is a joke, but then at the same time, it's becoming a reality with every hour that is running by. I'm talking about Lionel Messi, the Barcelona first, the Barcelona goat, the Spain goat. He is everything, and yet, just when they were about to sign an agreement between him and Barcelona to stay a little longer for Barcelona, unfortunately, news that is coming through is that he is not going to be Barcelona anymore. And here are a couple of photos of people who have booked Lionel Messi. We do have him having been booked by Arsenal, and some people went ahead to actually give him an Arsenal jersey, and one wonders what is he going to be doing in Arsenal. And then others have actually also taken him into the NBA to play with the Lakers. Yes, you did have LeBron James having a tough end to the season with some of the injuries that he got there. He was not able to actually finish the season with the Lakers. And then you also had him having some serious issues in there. And at the end of the day, it cost the Lakers an NBA title that went to the Bucks. Now, that is also interesting to see the shortest man in Spain coming through playing basketball, but it's possible because our artist today is also not that advantaged in height, but Mbu, he played basketball and he actually had championships to his name for the club that he played for, which is going to be something that we are going to later be diving into. But Ruben Pima Chivirango, I hope I will be able to sneak into that set and talk about this Lionel Messi. Speaking of which, also here in Uganda, we have some news that is coming through as far as sports is concerned. We have Ishmael Wainwright. Now, he has been playing for the national team, Silverbacks, and he's been drafted to Toronto Raptors, which is an NBA basketball club, and we're very excited. The details of those, we'll be discussing them in our sports edition this Friday. Special Friday does continue. Felix and Robert on the other side.
Well, of course, Priscilla there with Steve Keys, definitely we cannot wait to have that particular performance from you. And of course, but we'd also forget to give you current updates. Now, guess what? What is trending has been trending, as we did say, of course, in locally and internationally. But we want to put that away so we can dive into the music. Now, Robert will be taking us through local stories, and of course, Priscilla as well. But I will be taking you through international stories, and thereafter, we will now usher you into the rhythmic performance of Steve Keys. Robert.
And we begin with His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni, who retired generals, 14 generals in the UPDF that have served for a long time. That is, President Museveni yesterday presided over the retirement ceremony of 14 UPDF generals at State House Entebbe. The generals include General Ivan Koreta, Lieutenant General Pecos Kutesa, and Brigadier General Moses Chigongo. President Museveni applauded the selfless service of the officers, highlighting that each individual story is a miracle and how they all became part of the resistance movement is a story to tell. The most senior by rank is General Ivan Koreta, the 65-year-old four-star General. Koreta joined the armed forces in 1981 when Museveni and the group picked up guns to fight Dr. Milton Obote's government. General Koreta trained as a soldier in Mozambique as a member of the Front for National Salvation, which was then a rebel group formed to topple off the leadership of President Idi Amin, accusing him of being a dictator. While fighting Dr. Obote's government, Museveni and the group formed a rebel group known as the National Resistance Army, where Koreta was a battalion commander. After capturing power in 1986, Koreta's group was in charge of providing security along Kampala-Gulu Highway.
Government wants total compliance to the set standard operating procedures to avoid the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, noted that ever since the partial lifting of the lockdown, some Ugandans are flaunting the SOPs. He was addressing journalists at the media center. Government has updated the country on different aspects. Among the notable are flaunted guidelines, including the curfew time. Minister for ICT National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, also clarified on the continued closure of shopping malls in Kampala Central Business District. Meanwhile, the continued embargo on houses of worship has attracted reactions from religious leaders, but government explains their decision. Baryomunsi also noted that plans for the resumption of schools are underway, but this will depend on the vaccination level. ICT Minister also allayed fears from members of the public regarding the intended land amendments by government.
Ugandans have been urged to demand government to come up with a microeconomic intervention that will restart the economy. While addressing the media at Katonga Road on the 42 days of lockdown and the post-lockdown period, former President Forum for Democratic Change opposition party retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye said measures to sustain a reduction in cases of COVID-19 have not been put in place. Opposition politicians headed by the former president for FDC, retired Dr. Colonel Kizza Besigye, came out with an assessment on the 42 days of the partial lockdown. The opposition has criticized the easing of the lockdown and instituted a team to inspect buildings on compliance to the set guidelines. They say government had to recognize places of work which they did not do very well before setting up a lockdown that affected the economy. They said procedures like hygiene and social distancing must be observed even at this particular period. On wrapping up on health care system, Besigye said this has not been achieved. On closed schools, the opposition referred to a formal statement that was released by UNICEF and UNESCO on 12th of July that clearly talks about reopening and closure of schools in all parts of the world. Well, those are some of the stories that we are able to get for you that were in our bulletins, but Felix is ready to take us through international stories.
Well, of course, now we'll directly cross into international stories where we'll be looking at Joe Biden that has come out to make offer to Hong Kong people in US temporary safe haven. Now, responding to Beijing's crackdown on democracy in Hong Kong, the United States will at least provide safe haven to citizens of the Chinese territory for the next 8 years, allowing thousands to extend their stay in the US, the White House came out to say. Now, China has continued to insult on Hong Kong's autonomy, undermining the remaining democratic processes and institutions, now causing, imposing, and limitation to academic freedom and all other sorts of freedom that include the press. Now, offering safe haven to Hong Kong residents who have been deprived of their guaranteed freedoms in Hong Kong. Further, United States also interests its region into safe custody of people from Hong Kong, but also the gesture is to also exercise freedom, but to give a leeway to people in China to understand the value of such variants. Now, speaking about international stories and China, we will look at Delta variant challenges China's costly crackdown strategy and the Delta variant is challenging China's costly strategy in isolating cities, now prompting warnings that Chinese leaders who were confident they could keep the coronavirus out of the country need a less disruptive approach. Now, as the highly contagious variant pushes leaders in the United States, Australia and elsewhere to renew restrictions, President Xi Jinping government, of course, also comes out to say that it's having hurdles in fighting this particular variant. Zero tolerance strategy of quarantining every case and trying to block infections from abroad helps to contain last year's outbreak and has kept China largely virus free. But of course, this impact has been felt on various works in China. Well, now lastly, we do cross back to Africa, where we'll be looking at armed group attacks a village across northern Burkina Faso, as an armed group stormed village in the country's north, killing at least 10 civilians and 15 soldiers. Now, since 2019, violence in Burkina Faso had forced more than 1.2 million people, about 20 in the population, to flee their homes. Now, according to UNHCR, an armed group has killed at least 30 people in the series of attacks in the villages across northern Burkina Faso, and has unidentified assailants struck villagers near the town of Moke around midday on Wednesday, and then attacked security forces responding to the raid. Later the afternoon, country's defense ministry also came out to make a statement about the same, creating hope and saying they will bring this to an end. Much is happening, clearly internationally, but also locally. Now that's what we will be sharing with you more and more. But what else is happening is that music is up in the air. And definitely we can't wait to listen to the good vibes of Steve Case. And this will be definitely after we come back. Let's take a break. But when we come back, we're going to be having some good vibes. Let's take a break.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. Day on UBC, brought to you by.
Their job is to keep you and me healthy and well. But sometimes they try in vain.
Was brought to you by.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rate. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Nature that nurtures our life on Earth determines the geographical surrounding that should be protected and preserved by the community. Our environment is a program that will showcase the importance of human responsibility in a healthy environment, that is to say, conservation, waste management and recycling, disease prevention, biogas to mention but a few. On UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst and at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Uganda on the very 6th day of August 2021. It is a Friday and special it is, and special in such a way that we have our producer replicate himself to the special Friday. His name is Steve Keys. I think Keys should be the English version of Chisumunuzo. So one wonders if the interpretation of Keys is Chisumunuzo, Steve Chisumunuzo. No. Good morning to you, Steve.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
What is it?
So, Keys is for, maybe you would say my pesa, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
For these kids.
Okay, so your botanical name is?
Chigozi.
Oh. Chigozi. Anyway, so there's this whole thing of guys who are called Steve. They have K names. You're called Chigozi. Our producer is called Steve Kamoga. Yeah, SK.
But you notice we're all cool.
You're all cool. Yeah, that's true. Hands up on that one. You are all cool. Now, speaking of cool, you are so cool that you actually played basketball in high school.
I did.
In Deje.
Yes, I did.
Please do spill the beans.
So, that was, should I say that? Yeah, because then people will
No, don't say that. Yeah. No. The sisters, for sisters' sake, please. Yeah.
But long time ago, I played basketball in Deje. I think my team was the first Deje team to ever qualify for the Sprite. That's part of the pride that I have. Me and the superstar Ben Komakech then were the starting guards of the team. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he went on to be a superstar in basketball. And well,
Ruben Pima Chibirango, you'll have to come and do a conversation with this guy in your Olympics update. Yeah. Okay, so then you ended up playing for City Oilers.
I played for
two
City
championships
Oilers.
Down the road.
Yeah.
And then what happened? You couldn't.
I grew old.
You broke up with your girlfriend. Basketball.
I grew old.
You grew old.
Those guys are too fast.
They
are too good. That too, you know.
You grew shorter.
You know.
Okay, how tall are you?
5'9".
5'9".
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm short. It's official. I am short, but I'm not short of music.
Probably
that we
5'10", 5'9" or 5'10".
No,
like
we have a measuring ruler.
I should do that. I haven't done that. You know, two of the things I don't do a lot is measuring my weight and my height.
And your height.
But my height should be standard. At my age now, I can't grow any taller.
Okay, all right. Kirabo's brother is going to be giving us some musical ballads. He is a sensational instrumentalist, but also when he starts to speak, he's very good with his words, but then when he puts those words into music, he's even more magical. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Keys on Special Friday.
So I'm going to play one of my songs. I have songs, by the way. This song is a gospel song on one of my albums called Guardians. It's called Same God. I believe that you can hear me. I believe you're here. I know that you can do it for me. Oh yes, I know you can. I will wait patiently to hear from you. Your promises are true. Here I am, waiting to receive from you. I know you will come through. You are the same God. You are still with us. Oh, and your name is Jesus. You will do it again for us. Do it again for us. Yeah, I believe that you can hear me, and I believe you're here. I know that you can do it for me. Oh yes, I know you can. Here I am, waiting to receive from you. Your promises are true, and I will wait patiently to hear from you. I know you will come through. Yeah, you are the same God, and you are still with us. Oh, and your name is Jesus. You will do it again for us. Do it again for us. Do it again for us.
Wow, do it again for us. We will be having redemption yet again. Even if we're going through COVID-19 period, we have hope at the end of the day that God is going to do it again for us. Now, there's another song that you are yet to get us into the mood with.
Which one?
I don't know. You're the kids.
I don't know. Let me do another song of mine called Benyuma. It's also off of my album called Keys. Is that, you know?
Your album is called Kids by Still Kids.
I mean, yeah. Leron kweso se tula wansina mugulu wanika konfumbirali unange kankufumbire onjagadde nnyo okoze nnyo kati wumulako nange kankufeeko mukwano kyosaba nze kyendeeta gajaikamata omugati gwabata buli omukwano gwonze kwenfiira abo wabalala n'abalebenkera gabinyuma gabinyuma ng'omukwano gw'omuwana yagukuddiza gabinyuma Lero nze nkwesose tula wansi n'amagulu wanika bulijjo gwofumbira lero nange kanfumbire onjagadde nnyo okoze nnyo kati wumulako nange kankufeeko mukwano kyosaba nze kyenneta kajayi kamata oba omugati gwa bbali guno omukwano gwo nze gwebifiira abo abalala n'abana benkeera gabinyuma gabinyuma ng'omukwano gw'omuwala yakukuddisa gabinyuma omukwano gw'omuwala yakukuddiza.
Well, surely that deserves an applause. A very wonderful musical Uganda ballad. Binyuma indeed, binyuma ebyomukwano. Oshegera, but again, why do you guys always sing about mugati gwa butter?
What do you mean?
So
let me tell you something.
Simba wakati, we shall go into a break and then continue with this conversation of mugati gwa butter.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Echa COVID-19 kijja kuggwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, as we did say earlier that we will be ushering you into your weekend mood, and definitely previously Robert used to say that the weekend starts on Thursday, and he used to tell people that make sure you don't leave your jackets on the chairs for people to think that you're in office, yet you're actually not. But this time around we're not leaving no jackets. We're actually ushering you into the weekend with some good vibes of Steve Kays and of course Priscilla, myself and Robert. Well, which better way is it for me to start and than to introduce to you the man himself. Good morning, Kays. I don't know if you prefer Kays or Steve.
Or both.
Oh,
whichever.
both. Oh, both. Case, Steve Case.
Yeah.
Robert, I should give the honor to Robert, and also probably he will tell you the story behind the Steve Case and the porridge cup he was telling. So, Robert, please introduce you.
Well, let me introduce to you the man. Me, I call him Magu Steven, but I don't know how to explain why he went into that. This is a man I've known for many years, right from senior one. We entered together, that is Ndeje Senior Secondary School. And messages are flooding my phone, I don't know what to do. OBs and OGs are watching this show, thank you so much. So, this is a person I knew as one of the best basketballers in school. I think he was next to Komakech Ben, and only later
was next to him.
My friend.
No, it's actually the other
way.
From the evidence people are sending here, it's the other way around.
Okay. This guy was better actually during school time.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm just wondering how he carved into music. Yes, he used to disturb us while going to the DH. He was these guys would murmur. And I remember one time, actually, we kind of had a fight because he was so much into his music. Those days we had Walkmans. So Magu comes, I'm having mic up plate, and I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know that the guy was secure in his future. But he had that, and also they used to give us specials. So he had a group that would come up and in chapel and give us some specials there, where I was the pastor then. So it was really interesting. So this is the man that I'm with today on set.
Wow, it's good to have you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Your
music was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It was quite awesome. Probably Kirabo were feared to ask, when did you start this music? The man knows you as a bowler now. Yeah, so when did you start this whole music thing? Probably help Kirabo understand.
Like starting music, that's like asking.
With the murmuring,
right.
That's when you started.
Yeah, ever since I was a child, I've always sung, even in church and all that. But professionally, it has to be 2011. At that time, I started making money off of music.
Oh.
I joined a band that is now Janzi Band.
Oh, Janzi.
So I played in Janzi. Yeah. So I played in Janzi for 2 years, I believe. Then I played in Aroma for 2 years, and after that I went solo. Like 2013, yeah, up to now. Yeah.
So you've been doing your solo career?
Yeah, since May 2013. I like to inspire people. For the most part, I do gospel and also like inspirational music and love music. Yeah.
So are you Muslim?
No, I'm a Christian.
You don't want to inspire Muslims?
Why?
Just saying.
You mean Muslims don't love?
I'm just saying.
I said I do love music.
I was just meant to ask.
Because even in my career, like I do Muslim weddings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Yes, but even love weddings, like actual weddings, I've performed at Muslim weddings.
Why do people sing about love a lot, Priscilla? What do you think people sing about?
Today I want to know anything about Uganda, but that's
Priscilla is young. Like she doesn't know what
the feeling that comes with love.
But like which generation?
But then I want to ask you something. You've talked about.
That when you tell chocolate bread spread.
Spoiled children.
Mugati was just
But I always want to ask this question to artists. Of course, I know love is a good thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I see artists that say, I wrote this out of experience of what I went through. Others will say, I was just singing a song.
Yeah.
So do you just sing a song, or are these songs out of what you've gone through? And do you ever feel taken by the song you're presenting or you're singing?
So one of the things I get accused of most is to be very emotional when I sing. Like I can't sing about love and I'm flat, you know, like I have to understand the song. Because at the end of the day, what people connect to is the emotion. Not even what you're saying, but when they see you, when they see you, it's like watching a movie and you see someone crying. Like it moves you to feel like that. So when they see your facial expressions and the tone of your voice,
however,
if it sounds
just
sad,
about that, there are people we call legends and ancestors. Nigga won't even be moved. The kid will die. They will slaughter the kid like.
And they're like, you just get out and we replace you.
Like, and when he like. Then they're like, what's wrong with you? It's just a movie. I'm like, yes, but I'm relating with it.
But you see, for the most part, there are certain songs I write out of experience. Then there are songs that I write out of other people's experiences. Like I can hear someone's story, and I'm like, that's good, and I'll write about whether it's a love story, a breakup story, a motivational story. I'll pick it up and own it.
So you just did personal experience or someone's experience?
That song is a general idea, though. Yeah, like that's a principle for me. I feel like if you give as much love as you want to receive, it's so much fun when it's a two-way thing. So that's a principle. It's not like really an experience. It's a principle that I believe in.
Well, Robert, well, anyway, I'll come after Robert. Yes, Robert.
Well, Steve, you're a songwriter, you're a producer, you're an artist. How do you match the two to excel both? Because we know some people maybe are talented in just singing, but some, they have to have songs written by somebody. Then they have to go to a producer. So how do you combine both and make a good judgment of what you give out?
That's a good question, actually. So producing, because I have a musical instrument background from playing piano and church, it's easy for me to interpret music. So, you know, in production, you actually have to play the instruments to be recorded. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Yeah, like, so when I'm in studio, I know what to do because I know how to play those instruments. I know what the bass should sound like or the guitar should sound like. So that's easy for me to produce. But also, for the singing, I would say it's been part of me all my life, you know. Now, songwriting, though, I've had to learn how to do it. Yeah, like I've listened to so much music, and when I listen to it, I try to understand the technique that people used to write, because there are certain songs that will get me, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice line. How did they think of it? But I realized that the more you listen to music, you realize like it's a pattern, like the way people think, like rhyming, you know. When someone writes a song that has, you know, the same ending to the words, it sounds nice, but still makes sense. So you learn that technique when you're writing. You're like, I want this to rhyme, but I also want it to make good sense. When someone hears it, it'll be like, that's really cool. So with writing, I've actually had to learn to practice over, like write bad songs, and then, you know, I've improved.
Over time it came better.
Yeah, I think I've improved.
Yeah, but well, of course, now just as we get into our newsreel story, maybe there's a question that I asked earlier. Today is Beer International Day, something like that, to do with alcohol. So I was asking Robert earlier here, what is your experience with alcohol, or any friend, or anything? Is that one thing you will never forget that alcohol did to you or did to someone? I don't know. And I'll give the privilege to Priscilla to start as you think about yours.
Okay, yeah. So I don't do beer, but I have a friend of mine.
I don't know if they call it liquor. Any kind of
liquor. Liquor. I do wine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alcohol still.
So now, my personal experience. My personal experience.
And Priscilla, just before you.
But you're preempting.
Okay.
Okay. What did you want to say?
I was going to say, you know how slave women can make it sound like it's not alcohol, is what she's trying to do. I don't do beer, I do wine, as if wine is juice. Okay, you're saying?
Chinekeo Abego, forgive Felix now. He's a little bit happy for Friday. Anyway, my personal experience with wine, I can, because I love food and I love meats, so we grew up having, you know, wines with meats, and then after having meats you have a glass of wine because of the digestive whole thing. Then, but my own personal experience is that I can't have more than 2 glasses because then I'll become boring. So I'm a, you know, jumpy, hyper, happy person naturally. Give me a Coca-Cola, give me a Fanta, I will be up there. Give me 2 glasses of wine, I'll be down there, like I'll sit down and keep quiet.
Observe.
Which is contrary to what people become, you know, when they're cuckoos and they're high on alcohol. Yeah, so I have to stay away from it so that I can be me. Yeah.
So Steve,
yeah,
what's your story?
So I don't drink at all to begin with.
Keep it that way.
Not even wine. You know, I always keep telling people, and people are always like, you're in that industry and you don't even, like, not even substances or drugs or anything. Yeah.
What alternative?
What alternative?
How do you keep up the hype?
You know, wait, the funny thing is that when I used to perform at Gatomato, I performed at Gatomato for 5 years. But like, people used to come here and be like, you perform for 3 hours? You must be chewing some weed. I'm like, no. I'm sober. Like, no way. 3 hours straight without a break. That should be crazy. So for me, I don't drink at all for many reasons. So I'm very careful when I talk about this because I don't want to sound, I don't know how. I don't want to sound judgy or whatever. But from other people's experiences with alcohol, it makes me even like stay away from it even more. Yeah. So, but there's a funny story. One of my friends, I can't say who because they would kill me. This guy had a drink. But so he told us this story. He had a drink not long ago, actually. Last year, when there was, you know, curfew. When curfew was at 9, was it 9? Yeah, 9 p.m. So he goes out to his friend's house and drinks. So after drinking, like say midnight, he drives. So he lands into a roadblock. Like, where are you coming from? Blah, 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 blah. So, you know, he bribed the police officer and went. So he bumped into another roadblock. He bribed the police officer, he went. He bumped into another roadblock the third time. And then as he was trying to bribe the officer's like, but you man, where do you stay? Let me take you home because you've been going through this place 3 times.
He was eating the same, he was just getting rotating.
He was just going around the whole. So the police officer was like,
concerned.
He was concerned, like this man.
He will not reach home.
He won't.
You're about to see him.
He was like, where do you stay? Let me drive you and take you home. He was never going to get home. That's
actually,
so funny.
I can't add to that. My experience won't come after that one because that one is top notch. No. Now that's the power of, and that's why they celebrate days like this probably, because.
But I'm also still asking myself. You know, when we have these international days, there's usually a purpose: creating awareness, improving,
promoting.
So I'm asking myself, World Alcohol Day.
No, but before we go, I want to hear Felix's experience.
No, mine was so painful. I have an older brother who made me take some sort of whiskey. Now, I had never taken it, and I think, in my year 3. I had this girl I loved so much at Nkunda, and she was coming from Mukono University to visit me in hostel. Now, I took that thing the whole night. Now, the woman all came prepared, happy to meet the guy. What? She had put on her nice dress, and she had come with 2 friends. Yeah, which is okay. We had agreed. We were trying to know each other and what. Now, really, Robert? Now, that's why I didn't want to say my story. Now, they get to me, and as they got to me, I was throwing up. And the whole room was smelling alcohol. And the chick was like, yeah. And the worst part was I had like kneeling down in the toilet and throwing up. So she's like, yeah, that is the guy who wants to be my boyfriend. And those were the words exactly she said. And the friends are like, I knew they were born again. I'm like, I can explain. Yeah, and the chick, and that's the last time I ever saw. Ever, even up to there, I don't even.
No, but
Lord, show me.
Trust me. Like, they must have cast me like ghost girl. What?
in case she's still single, you're now a transformed man. You're a better man.
No, I'm taken. I'm taken.
Yeah, you're not the man she wanted then.
Yeah, but I'm the man they have taken.
But you see, the thing with alcohol, like I know that, for example, like wine, I hear that it's good for digestion. So I know that
It helps.
Yeah, that alcohol has some advantages, but to me the disadvantages, you know,
more.
like are more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you do it excessively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, another technique of alcohol is you must look for the alcoholic volume in that drink. Yeah, because there's alcoholic volume. That is the percentage of alcohol in that drink.
Kirabo, what's your story?
If Kirabo speaks,
he knows.
In terms of alcohol, now we'll go to the newsreel. Kirabo, let's see, because Kirabo's going to tell us so many techniques. Now the volume, the percentage. Yes, Robert, how about we look at the newsreel?
Well, the newsreel this morning, we want to look at that is the good news that Ugandans received in terms of easing in the lockdown. We must remember His Excellency spoke on Friday, and by Saturday, people are very excited to go back to their places of work, begin movements, and this is what we want to be at least digesting and looking at how far we've moved. We must remember that we are in the second wave and we had gone into the lockdown, at least to restrict movements, congestion in these places. So I just want to understand what has been the assessment of my colleagues, beginning with Magu. For example, you know, you're in the music industry, and this is an area that wasn't eased. However, with this easing, your assessment, many people are saying, I think it's just a time bomb. Anytime we may get to that. Others are saying, I think we can improve. What has been your assessment?
Well, from my industry's point of view, nothing has really changed because we still can't perform. We do perform at small functions, the weddings, you know, but it's not as consistent as it was then when everything was open. So it's a bit slow, but we are pushing through it. But also, like before we started lockdown, from my phone and social media, everyone was typing rest in peace. For some reason, people were dying. I was like, there's so many people dying. There's so many people that I know personally that died, and it was very, very, very scary. And then, you know, like 3 weeks into the lockdown, it all came down, you know, and people relaxed a little bit. So I think the lockdown worked in terms of COVID-19. In terms of the economy, I don't know, I know some people who barely made it through this time. So I don't know how we're going to be able to balance, like, you know, the fact that, you know, people need to work and eat, but also we need to stay away from each other, because not everyone sits on a computer. It's a work from home. Like, you know, not everyone works like that. So I don't know.
Well, Priscilla, your assessment just this week from Saturday when it was eased, what has been your assessment as of first month? Any particular areas where you feel?
First of all, I miss being a social worker. As in the roads, like the traffic jam is a lot to deal with. I pretty much get off at 8 o'clock, and still at 8 o'clock there's traffic jam. You're thinking, Ugandans, honestly, 7 p.m. is 7 p.m., meaning that by 7 p.m. you should be in your house. But it also shows that people are still sort of following the old system of 8 to 5 or 6, or especially traders who can actually go into the night, you know, having their shops open or doing transactions here and there. So that has sort of been hard to adjust for that business community, most especially. So when you look at curfew, it's failing. It's not being adhered to, at least in the assessment of this first week. It's not working. When you look at the other SOPs, of course, when you look at the roadblocks, they were eased a little bit to just ease transport and people getting into the heart of the city. I've had a sneak peek into the whole social distancing in vehicles. For vehicles, so far, they're still adhering. Those ones are still adhering. Maybe over the weekends when people want to get into party mood and all, things could change. But for now, that is still also working. You also do have the fact that we had this week the inspection of arcades, and that process is going on to help the business community be reset back into, you know, normal transaction to be able to support the cycle of the economy. That was not received very well because it was incurring time wastage, good wastage, trade wastage for both sides. For the end user, the traders, the ones who have the stalls in the arcades, they still can't operate, meaning they cannot yet have food on the table in one way or another, or in the common way they used to. When you look at the property owners,
still
terms and conditions were too tough. Like they have to invest in, which by the way is not, if you do the mathematics, it's not a lot of investment. It could be like 10 million of investment or 15
but then that
million
will eventually go back to the tenants.
But that's what they were trying to push for, that let the tenants come in and then we do
collect
this while. But they wanted to push that burden to the tenants, and that's why I like the authority, KCCA and the Minister of Kampala, having stood their stance and said, no, this has to be done before they come in. But trust me, you hear rental increase.
Well, Felix, your assessment of just this first week of the easing?
It's a sweet sour pill, I must say, a sweet sour sensation, the man of emotions being here, that we really want to sort of like pick up our livelihood in terms of the economy, but we're also worried we don't want to lose our people. But we know for sure that when they open up, people are going to die. That's a matter of fact. The cases are going to increase again, and guess what? We'll be hit another wave. That's a matter of fact. But we also need to live. So that's what I'm saying. We're in pain because, as you said, everyone now knows someone who has died. They really want to protect themselves. And the only thing, I also think that even for the president, it is still very hard, and the government. How do we cope with all these competing interests? You know, but now the latter remains with us in terms of how we adhere to those drills, like wearing masks, social distancing, make sure we avoid crowds. Let us just be responsible, because the truth of the matter, with this easing of the lockdown, cases are going to increase. That's a given. Have you seen what's downtown? You know, Priscilla has just been talking about transport. People are already doing, go to the markets, all these things. So we must just be able to try. It's just about trying, just try.
Because we're in between a rock and a hard place.
That's the thing. We need to live, but we also worried we don't want to die or lose our people.
So my biggest worry has been the fact that to me it seems more like a time bomb. When perceived about a number of sectors, it's more like a time bomb. And this I witnessed yesterday that really touched my heart. I had to load money on my phone, so I parked by the roadside. It was coming to about 7:15, and in this trading center, business was still active. So I go to load airtime, and there came a gentleman. He was in casual. So you know these ladies that prepare food, roast chips, and you know, meat around that, they walk along the roadside. So I noticed this guy was hitting at each store, hey, mwe mwe, and they were contributing 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So I come close and ask one of the guy that roasts chicken there, like, oyo sente muwazaaki? He said, omanyi abasirikale bali wali kati oyo tumuwa ye n'atwala matuleka ne tukolayo ng'essaawa emu ne tuggalawo.
Oh wow.
I was like, what? Said munna ate tulina okukola naffe. Literally meaning that, well, and it was true, because for them they were getting motorcycles at distance, but they were leaving these people work for some time. And you know, these Ugandans are finding it okay with them, because they know these are rush hours, people are going home, and the longer they stay, so they are making more money.
It's like even the taxi guys, because that's the time they make the most money, because everyone is going back home. So they work most in the morning when people are going to work, and also in the evening, around that time from 5 till about 7:38, when people are going back. But even you or I, when you're going home, like let's say at 6 or 6:30 or 5, that's when you want to go and buy stuff, you know what I mean?
Yes, to go home.
Yeah, because during the day you're in the office, later on you're going home, so you stop. That's when they make most of the money. And you know, so they are caught in between that.
Traffic.
Yeah, they are caught in between, should we go home? Because if you go home, you're not going to make money.
Actually, most of the situations.
So they were willing to give. I understood that, yes, they were comfortably giving.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing when you listen to what the Minister of Education was saying. Everything now is a pain. they're thinking of letting guys go back to school, and you know, everyone is looking. Parents are looking at their kids who should be finishing S4 now in S2. People should be graduating are still in year 1.
Speaking of schools, what do you guys think? Like, what, imagine you.
The thing is, I was talking about it with my friends yesterday. We were going back home. A child has been in the same class for 3 years now. That'd be 3 years. Yes, it's special. And even if they're trying alternative means, sustainability of alternative means, and grading of the alternative means, because even if they go through the whole e-learning process, they have to be graded at the end of the day with an examination, and that examination,
Priscilla's child can go through the e-learning, whereas someone's child somewhere cannot. And that reminds me of what happened in Parliament this week, where that is Esther Afoyo, that is a Zombo woman member of Parliament, proposed a 2 million deduction from salary for MPs to buy the Pfizer vaccine so that they can vaccinate these kids and have them back in school, and it was rejected.
But you see, even when Minister for National Guidance, Dr. Chris Bariomosi, says that for schools to reopen, and I've also had the Honorable hosted the other day for lower education, the analogy that they're going with is that vaccination, then the schools can be reopened. That means that you vaccinate. Initially, the president had said vaccinate the teachers, all teachers, and then schools can be reopened. And even if you go for just teachers, the vaccines that have come in so far cannot cover the entire teacher base that we have in the country. But even now, when you add children to that population, to that number, you're talking about 14 to 17 million, and that means that's going to be a serious investment, one for Ministry of Health, but then arrival or achievement of that is not going to be today, tomorrow, or even this year in the reality of the matter. Meaning that if we are going with that remedy, it's not going to, it's meaning we're not having schools reopening. Ideally, that's what they're saying. We're not reopening anytime soon.
Speaking on that point, I can't confirm this because I'm not a scientist, but so I was reading, I think it was in one of the states in the US, they got into another wave, another variant, you know. But this new variant could not be stopped by the vaccines. You understand? So they had to, how do they call it? They have to modify that, thank you very much, the vaccine to work on the new variant. So speaking on that point, is I don't know if they vaccinate, let's say, the teachers and the students, and they go back to school, and another wave comes or another variant that is not, can't be stopped by that vaccine. What happens? I feel like it's a really tough decision to make.
Clearly, we keep praying, my colleagues, and of course the whole nation. We hope that everything gets back to normal. That is a question we don't know when shall be answered, but we must live. That's a matter of fact. But anyway, speaking about living, we will now just take a look at what's happening in the papers, and we'll pick it up from the Daily Monitor. Here in the papers, we see UPDF retires 14 generals and 600 officers. Among the generals retired, we see General Ivan Koreta, Lieutenant General Pecos Kutesa, Lieutenant General Jim Owesigire, and of course, Major General Christopher Kazora, Major General Fred Mugisha, Major General Innocent George Olua, Brigadier General Moses Chigongo, and Brigadier General John Arari Kasaija. Now, tough new rules for NSSF midterm cash, and of course they give you what is expected. But today, history beacons as Uganda chases more medals. Now, when Joshua Cheptegei, there, right, Jacob Kiplimo, second, of course, in the papers, ran the 5,000 men final, they would become only the first Ugandans to win 2 medals at the same Olympic Games after Cheptegei silver and Kiplimo's bronze medal in one 10,000 meter final. Now, Oscar Kiplimo left also. Today we'll be doing 5,000 meters, and winning Nanyondo will be coming in 1,500 meters. Of course, we're seeking, we really hope that this will come our way. Now, here is a man who injected Ugandans with water as COVID vaccines. They give you his story in the papers. And of course, in the school pullout, now will mamas ever happen in Uganda? And of course, for some of you who are looking for jobs, we have lots of jobs lined up for you.
In the new vision, we get to look at the 35th anniversary year as we settle into Friday. We do have a message from Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubadra's message on COVID-19 at the top of the page, but we get to look at jobs available in key departments as health and legal. 11 cities to get 20 billion to hire new staff. That's a nice conversation. But in pictorial, we do have generals, historicals retiring. The president there standing in line with some of those historicals and the generals at the State House in Entebbe yesterday. We do have physics, we do have econ plus English and chemistry for an insider there in education for senior 6 and senior 1. Vision at 35. Battle over sale of Uganda commercial bank, and you have NSSF cash over 140,000 servers eligible for mid-term access. The bit where you say yes, but then I don't qualify. Sad story.
But even those that qualify, there's still a statutory instrument that is going to determine the method of getting it. It's not just automatic. Some may find it very hard still.
Okay. All right.
Of course, I will also look at the Daily Nation. Now, quite interesting headlines here. Now, Uhuru, Raila, MPs craft new BBI bill and ahead of the elections there. But COVID super spreads now. Politicians feel surge. But also, they put a photo of the president of Uganda here, and they say, we know nothing about Ruto's visit to Uganda. And Kipsang breaks, that is a 1,500 meter Olympic record. But of course, also Court of Appeal judge are expected to deliver their ruling on August 20th. Now we are waiting to see that and how it will come out. Now, we know that we will be having Steve Case perform next after Weather. Kindly tell us what we expect, what songs are coming. Do we have more? Priscilla talked about bread and butter. Do we expect chai, nachi?
Priscilla is such a spoiled child.
I told you.
But I don't know, I'm not a program person. I feel things, and you know, in the moment. I just know it's going to be good music.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can't wait to have that. To listen to that kind of music. Now we will be having Molen to give us weather updates and of course in nature and climate, but that will be after we have a break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's super cool to be a mass superhero, to get the spread of the virus to 0. Did you know that just wearing a mask is not enough? Yes, correctly wearing a mask will protect you and others, but you still have to remember to wash your hands with clean running water and soap, or using a sanitizer, socially distance, and avoid crowded areas. Wearing a mask helps protect you and others from spreading viruses. To get the spread of the virus to 0.
Welcome to English in a Minute. American English has many expressions that come from card games. Is this another one?
It's going to rain all weekend. How am I going to have my lawn care party now?
Yeah, that's not the kind of activity you can bring indoors. Maybe a party is not in the cards, Anna.
Jonathan, so many people wanted to work outside for me in the hot, hot sun.
If something is not in the cards, it is not likely to happen. People also say in the cards to mean something is likely to happen. This phrase actually comes from fortune tellers. They use special cards to supposedly predict a person's future. And that's English in a Minute.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Yes. Very welcome to Good Morning Uganda Special Friday. It is indeed a special Friday. We have the music going really well, so that is something very nice. But I do have a setup here, and we have been looking at extreme weather events over time, and one that seems to be having affected Uganda most is the case of flooding. Now, we have seen most of those around Kasese and mostly the Elgon area, where we have seen most of them leading to even mudslides. Now, we want to dive in and look at how flooding really happens, what causes flooding. Now, it is quite convenient saying that floods are usually caused by heavy rains, but it's not only that. We can also have flooding as a result of glaciers melting, as a result of snow or ice melting. But what are the areas that are really prone to flooding? We look at mostly the low-lying areas and areas that are close to mountains. Usually those are prone to flooding. But now we want to look at what really happens in the formation of floods. Now, first and foremost, it depends on the type of soil there. Now, we know that clay soil is more solid and it holds more water, like it's hard for water to infiltrate compared to the rest of the soils. But also, one factor that I want to demonstrate today is how how much water is in the soil at the moment. Now, before flooding happens, we do have flash flooding mostly. Now, with flash flooding, we look at mostly floods that happen in just a short time. Now, within that time, it's hard to predict that you're going to have floods, because like rain comes and then before you know it, it's heavy and it doesn't hold into the soil, it's just running off. That can create floods. But also, alternatively, when you have more rains over days happening over weeks, now the capacity, the holding capacity of the soil gets to a certain level where there is too much water in the soil that now it cannot hold anymore. Now, in that scenario, then we look at more of this water just being on top and ends up as runoff to the other ground or even in that particular area, hence creating floods. Now, what I want us to look at is, I do have these are test tubes. Don't mind our test tubes here. This is like a chemistry laboratory, say that, but it is a modern laboratory today. Now, we do have two kinds of soils. One that is already having water. Now, think about this one, like where the rain, it has been raining for some time, and because of that, the soil is actually already filled with water. Then there is another type of soil that is just not really dry, but there is some water, although not as much as the one where it has been raining over time. Now, what you want to look at is what really happens if there is more water coming in scenarios where you've had rains, but at the same time, you do look at also if you could have like maybe ice melting or snow melting, then what really happens there? Well, I'm just going to use an example of Kasese. By the way, yesterday we did record a total of 69.9 millimeters across Kasese. Now, this is the time I also want to talk about what is likely to happen, because these are like early signs of what could happen in terms of whether we get floods or not, because we've seen floods across Kasese now. Yesterday, the Kasese reporting 69.9 is a huge number. We haven't seen that this month. So this is where actually the department comes in, maybe disaster, to look at what is the likelihood of what could really happen. Well, we do have this one that indicates some rainfall after some time, probably 2 or 3 days of rainfall. And also we have one that has it hasn't been raining. So what I'm going to show is I'm going to pour water at literally the same pace. So this is where it has been raining, and here it has not been raining. Now, I want us to look at keenly how fast it feels at the same pace. Now, guys, I'm going to be trying here, so don't mind. But at least you can see that it is literally the same size. Now, we're going to start pouring. I'll try as much as possible to use the same pace. Then we shall look at that. Okay, guys, this is like rain. Okay, I want us to look at keenly how water is going to be feeling for both glasses and which one actually feels fast. Remember, rain doesn't just rain at the same time, like there are droplets coming into the soil. So I'm trying to pour the same amount in both glasses. Okay, there we go. Now you can see this one that already had water in it, like in scenarios where we talk about where it has been raining already, it's already like filling up. So we add more. Now you can see that the soil that actually didn't have any waters in it are doing more of, there is more water that is just infiltrating into the soil than the one where we already had water. Now what happens is what we call a flooding. How does that happen? Because now with continuous overflow in this type of soil, then it's definitely going to be over the glass. Just a few more drops. Guys, that's the capacity that you can. Now look at the difference here. Well, this is how actually the real flooding happens for sure. But this is where I also want to put an alert, especially to areas where there has been flooding in many places. Now I want to look at mostly Kasese being one of those areas that are prone to flooding. In most cases, we have overlooked the fact that when it happens, when it rains for days and days and days, what is likely to happen is that then we start to look at scenarios like this for sure. Now, also, this is where I want to give my warning, especially to the guys in disaster and preparedness. Should we see more rains happening in one place for continuous days, that is a likelihood that there could be flooding in that area. Now, what happens that after that, then you start to alert the residents in that area whether there is a plan to evacuate. That is when you start up with the real plans to evacuate in such places. Now, it's not just Kasese. We have seen more areas that have been having floods across the country, and those are still also within the warning. Well, away from that, we want to come back home and take a look at what is happening over the skies in terms of our satellites over Uganda. This morning we did start off with rainy conditions, by the way, especially across West Nile and parts of Midwestern Uganda. That area did have mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, but later as the morning went on, we started to see more rainfall. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at our forecast for this morning, but we did also start off with those cloudy conditions across Lake Victoria. Now, one thing that I've been observing over the satellites is that we are likely to actually have a cool day. Compared to what we had yesterday, we had more warm weather, especially across Lake Victoria, but in our forecast today, we've seen mostly likelihood of having a cold day across most areas within the country. Now, in our forecast, we'll be taking you through different regions this morning that are likely to be dealing with rainy conditions, but also the sunny intervals. Now, earlier this month, we did give a forecast for rainfall that is expected across Uganda, and most areas were likely to have rainy conditions, especially to West Nile. Well, this morning in our forecast, we start off with southwestern Uganda. We did have Mbarara, Ibanda, Boshenyi, Rubirizi. We are forecasting rainy conditions, mostly in form of scattered showers, but those will be over a few areas, and temperatures likely to rise up to 23 degrees centigrade. Now, looking at what we have for Central Lake Victoria Basin, that is where we have Mukono, Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso. We are forecasting intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, but we do have rainy conditions expected over that area. Well, across, that is Central Lake Victoria, actually we do have Kampala, the nation's capital, in that category. Now, Central Northern Uganda, we have Gulu, Kitun, Padel, Adjumani. We are forecasting light rains as well, starting off at 26 degrees centigrade, but we do expect temperatures to be rising later as the day progresses. That is where we have Kitgum and Gulu in that category. Also, those rains are likely to continue until the afternoon. Now, eastern Uganda, where we have Soroti, Katakwi, Amuria, Kumi, we are forecasting light showers and temperatures will be at 26 degrees centigrade. Those are also likely to shoot as the day goes on. Well, the eastern side of Lake Victoria, we are forecasting isolated showers, still starting off at 25. That's quite chilly compared to what we were dealing with yesterday. Well, that is at 25 degrees centigrade. Now, looking at what we have across that area, by the way, eastern Lake Victoria Basin also takes in areas of Jinja. Now, Mount Elgon Highlands, that is where we have Mbale, we have Sironko, we are forecasting isolated showers and temperatures likely to go up to 21 degrees centigrade. That's quite chilly over that area. Now, western parts of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Masaka, we do have Sembabule, we have Rakai. We are also forecasting those rainy conditions will be coming through as the day progresses, but temperatures expected at 23 degrees centigrade. Well, that is what we have over there, and we are setting up to have Good Morning Uganda agenda that will be coming up with Robert. He is already set, but we also have music in studio to take you through your Good Morning Uganda special Friday today. And Priscilla, what kind of music do you actually like? That will be a question that I'll be posing to you. Probably I'll have a list and write all your favorite music. But here we have a gentleman in studio, and I'll leave you to the music. My name is Molin Kenyana, wishing you a good day.
We're just working. Okay. But you're back on you. Okay. Solo.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's super cool to be a mass superhero, to get the spread of the virus to 0. Did you know that just wearing a mask is not enough? Yes, correctly wearing a mask will protect you and others, but you still have to remember to wash your hands with clean running water and soap, or using a sanitizer, socially distance, and avoid crowded areas. Wearing a mask helps protect you and others from spreading viruses. To get the spread of the virus to 0.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
To have an awesome time with Steve Keys on the keys, but he's also on the strings. So I wonder if now we get to call him Steve Keys and Steve Strings at the same time. Anyway, we do have a couple of reactions of people enjoying Good Morning Special Friday, and Molen did talk about the western part of Uganda. From Rampara, we do have Abat that you are enjoying Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much. And then we also do have Brian Chucks. Good morning to you, Brian Chucks. Thank you so much for streaming with us on our Facebook. Our streaming channels are Facebook, UBC TV, and also on YouTube, which is UBC Television. Television Uganda. Now, speaking of which, on Twitter you get live updates as and when they do come in, and that is on or at UBC TV Uganda. You get the live updates, but you also get to have photography of this guy and his performances here. Speaking of which, it's like you have been out of touch with your friends, because the questions they're asking here, let me ask this one. Sekaluka, looking at him, it's that one. Ask him if he's married yet, because if he had girls in school. Please elaborate. If he had girls in school, how? A cute boy, a basketball player, a singer, or
I'm not married yet.
You're not married yet. Well, what's the problem?
I will get married.
You will get married.
Yeah.
Anyone in
I'm not
the
under,
picture?
not right now.
Not right now. Okay.
I'm not under pressure,
Yeah.
but I will. I want to.
All right.
It's not that I'm not one of those negative people. Marriage is bad. No.
Yeah.
It's just not time yet. But I'll
Saying
do.
Katuka, boy is still single. If you have any connections. Emma Mwesije is asking how he has kept young till date. This is the young version of you. Now I want to see photos of you in DJ.
I was smaller.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
like in size. I
Okay.
was small.
So what are your tips for keeping young?
Exercise.
Okay.
And don't drink too much.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Or at
Yeah,
all.
you don't drink too much, but you can never have enough of music. Whether too
No.
much or it's music. Music is music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't have enough of your music here on Special Friday. What next do you have for us?
So I wanted to play this old love song. Most people who know me, they know me for singing old school music. My old school is the 90s, by the way. I'm not talking about 70s or 80s. Well, some 80s, because I was born in the 80s. But yeah, most of the music that I grew up on is in the 90s. So we used to listen to songs like this. I can't buy you fancy rings or all the expensive things you used to, baby. No trips around the world, no diamonds or pearls to give to you, my baby. But what I gotta give is more precious than you'll ever know. My deepest inner feeling, my heart and soul. 'Cause all that I am is a man in love with you. All that I am is a man whose heart is true and in love with you. Oh, baby. Oh, girl. Yeah. Now I know you're not blind, but when I look into your eyes, you meet me halfway. Yes, you do. Just accept me as I am. Please understand I love you always. Ooh, my deepest inner feeling, my heart, soul. 'Cause all that I am is a man in love with you. All that I am is a man whose heart is true and in love with you. Deny it all you want. You have your doubts about me. I can't be the only one. I think this heart so love for the world tonight with the life of their lives and feel what I feel when I'm
I told you I was going to be the Steve in this equation, and he's the kids. Okay, all right. Well, this is a time where we go into our weekly roundup. Now, so many conversations have been making headlines all the way from Monday till today, most especially the drama that we've been seeing in Parliament. But Robert Kirabo is here with Ntakali and also Ivan Kahwa. They're going to be giving us their perspectives of the weekly news roundup.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen, there doing it. And of course, thank you so much, whoever is watching. I know you have a very big base of Ndeje Senior Secondary School. Many messages still coming in, but thank you so much, OBs and OGs, for supporting our own, that is Stephen. Well, it is time away from the music, but we'll return later for more music with Steve Keys. It's now time we look at some of the stories that have made headlines during the week. And I don't do this alone, I do it with Rachel Takali. Rachel, I must say this has been a fair week. I don't know, but to me it's been a fair week. There's been so much at least to smile about. We had the easing of the lockdown. We had the president okaying the NSSF midterm benefits. We also saw a golden girl, that is Pelsi Chemtai winning gold, the first female to win gold at the Olympics, and our first gold medal, as we wait for more today. So by and large, to me, I want to say it has been a fair week. I don't know how yours has been.
That is definitely the highlight. There have been other things that are not so good, of course. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it hasn't been such a terrible week. Of course, there are always people who kill our joy. Among them, there's the state minister for local government, that is Businge Rusoke, who has since vowed that multiplex construction company will be blacklisted and banned from all construction projects government related because of their terrible, terrible record. So that is one of the things that has really dampened my week. Of course, there are also the parliamentarians who have done us another misdeed. But I think we are getting used to their ways.
we'll be about Esther Afayo Chan.
Yes.
Calling for a 2 million deduction from salary.
But I think, while I commend Honorable Afoyo, I don't know where she got the strength to actually
talk about
present this proposal to individuals who have shown us again and again they're firmly in this thing for self. They're not concerned about anyone but themselves. So I don't know where she got the strength to even engage them once more, only to be disappointed again.
Also this week we saw the arrest from the office of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Where we saw 6 arrested by the State House Anti-Corruption Unit over the blankets, the nets, the tarpaulins, the bins that were meant for Kasese, where the Honorable Prime Minister said Kasese is not a dumping ground. Did that lift your spirit somehow?
Yes, it was one of the higher points this week. Madame Prime Minister has had to crack the whip, which whip has been a little maybe slow in coming. But I think this is under a month since she pronounced that heads will roll. Afandi Nakalema was also on hand to execute this order, and she moved with the quickness to apprehend at least 4 of these culprits. 5 are still on the run. But I think it's a good step forward. She says she does not want any corruption around her, near her, associated with her, anywhere in government, and I hope this is a first step. So
Well,
she has done us proud.
Let's begin by the joy of many savers with NSSF. That is the president okaying, finally, that is the midterm benefits. You must remember that was in February. That is last year when the 10th Parliament passed this bill. And when it went to the president after some time, then in March, okay, I think that's a spell of just a month, Honorable Matia Kasaija wrote that later, if you recall. The
famous later.
That later. That saw workers rise up in arms, of course, wondering what has gone wrong. But finally this week, I think it was Wednesday, when His Excellency came out and said, yes, if we hit a dead end, it will be an learning experience together. Well, knowing that NSSF a month collects, that is 125 billion every month from people that save with it. A year, that is about 1.5 trillion. And if you look at annually what they give to beneficiaries that have come of that, that is about 900 billion every year is issued out. So the issue was, they were scared this would deplete the fund. It has been a saving and the savings have been invested. So then the president was saying, why then would you have NSSF go out and then borrow? Yet there is this chunk. If we mess with this money, then these are the problems that we are likely to get. However, we saw the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, coming up with some facts and saying we've done some good study. It is very clear that we have about 15 trillion by NSSF. And if people are to get this midterm, that is those of 45 and have saved for at least 10 years to get 20%, we'll spend between 800 billion and maybe 1 billion, which still will leave so much for the fund.
I think this is a decent move, any way you see it. For the simple reason, NSSF has struggled to actually get people on board. Many companies have been really unfaithful when it comes to remitting the savings of their workers. And so they have done everything that they know to do to make sure that these companies actually do the right thing, including encouraging whistleblowers. If you work for a company that will not remit your NSSF, kindly let us know. So this, I think, will encourage workers to be more serious about who remits their money and who doesn't. And among other things, I think one of the drawbacks has been that many of the people who receive the money are definitely over the hill. By the time you receive your money, you're 70-ish. Well, there's nothing you can do, not very much anyway, because your energy has been depleted and you don't really have many aspirations left. So people argue, how are people going to improve themselves when they're over the hill? All they have left is a few short years to their end. So there are people who are saying, please give people their money while they still can do what they can do with it and improve themselves along the way. So midway, a person's lifespan is a good place. Someone has gathered quite a bit of experience. They are sober, as opposed to giving savings to someone who's 20. It's a good thing, any way you see it. And I think NSSF has really been trying to keep all the goodies, which is unfair. If I'm contributing to your massive haul of public money, you should at least do something to make me feel that this is worth my while. So I think the compromise came. In the beginning, they had said anyone 45 and over. But I think the compromise came when they put a limit for having saved up to 10 years. And that really reduced the number of people who are eligible for this intervention. But more than that, they expect to give this money out in a staggered way. It won't be that all the recipients in a given year, that in their estimation would ruin their capital base.
Actually, that is where His Excellency direct the Ministry of Gender, the Minister, to come up with a instrument that is going to stipulate how these monies are going to be received. But then there's also a question, Rachel. Yes, there could be excitement from the workers, but we must understand that the people that serve with NSSF and the criteria of getting this money remains a problem. Even many have, maybe those that have, maybe their children, their wives, some have not had the benefit of testing this money while they are alive despite reaching retirement. Some is only followed by the next of kin and all that. So some are wondering then how easy is this going to be now that there's even a statutory instrument that is going to, the minister has to come up with this and properly dictate the terms and conditions. Won't we have something that is next to impossible to get these monies?
Well, we can only hope that they will do the right thing. NSSF has come a long way. They have worked very hard to polish their image. They have worked very hard to enter the .com era as opposed to analog practices. They have worked very, very hard to popularize themselves. They have worked very, very hard to deliver a decent return on investment. They have worked very hard to actually respond to the needs of their clients, to the needs, or to be in step with the times. So I'm thinking that they will also be equally eager to make sure that they deliver. Because if you don't deliver, you will discourage the few people who are looking to see if they can join you in this journey. So it is in their interests to deliver.
Well, away from the NSSF midterm benefits, that is 20% for a person who has served for 10 years and has clocked the age of 45. We now also move to another story this week that has really done us very good. And of course, we saw our flag being raised at the Olympics. Our national anthem being played at the Olympics. That is Perth Chemtai's victory that won us gold at the ongoing Olympics. Of course, today we still know that we have 3 of the men that are going to be running, and of course, Nyonyintono will also be running. That is around 3 the men. Then 15 minutes later, we expect to see Nyonyintono. But the big question here is, I was seeing as Parliament was organizing this effort, that many talked about the process, how much we're injecting into this other country. And one member of Parliament said, had we injected more money, then we'd have more of these. Maybe this would have become the order of the day. But the question of, these are kind of self-made, not identified, but later just learn to this sport.
I think even as we think about this glorious outcome, we must not forget the lingering shame and disgrace that is government's continuing failure to meaningfully invest in athletics and in Sebei sub-region in particular. There's this high-level training facility that they've been talking about for donkey years now. We don't know what the hold-up could be. Athletics could be a serious cash cow. There is a lot of talent sitting idle in Sebei. We don't know what it will take for the movers and shakers to understand that there is a fairly short distance between translating this raw talent into a money-making behemoth. I don't know why it's so hard to understand. If these people, the athletes, could get themselves from the dust, so to speak, and catapult themselves to global heights with minimal intervention of the state, what if there was a significant investment in these individuals? I think, and I hope, that these people will understand that this is a time to, they're late, very late, but better late than never. The ministry concerned should actually do the right thing. We've been carrying this shame for donkey years. I don't think we need to continue with this.
I don't think we lack funds. I'll give you a very simple example, and many Ugandans are now in the no. You know Mama Awards? Our governments, though they never happened, maybe because of COVID-19, the political atmosphere and all that, we invested 10 billion. 10 billion in these awards because we believe they would market Uganda and all that. But I think these athletes have proved that's a more marketing tool than even this. So 10 billion could maybe do much when it comes to the attitude training grounds. Maybe
of course it would.
It.
Of course it would. And I think one of the, they can no longer give us any excuses. This thing has been long in the coming. The first person to show that Sebei has quite a bit of potential was Mr. Kiprop in 2004. There was another high point in 2010. I think that was Kipsoro. There was another high point in 2012. That was Kiprotich. So you've had so many years to get yourselves together. What are you waiting for? That is what we want to know.
Well, finally, Rachel, let's take a look at this proposal, something we just talked about earlier, but just to expound a little more. That is when we saw on the floor of Parliament, when Esther Afoyo Chan, a member of that, she's a commissioner.
Yes, she is.
And also representing Zombo district as district women representative there, coming up and saying, yes, let's at least deduct only 2 million, and this will help purchase the Pfizer vaccine for children, and then maybe we can help see them in school since they'll be vaccinated. That would collect to 529 members of parliament. That's about over $1 billion shillings. That is what we would have gotten from them, and it was rejected. Briefly on this as we conclude.
You know, there is something that I've heard a number of white men say. If you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that is the truest sign of madness. Our parliamentarians, God bless their little hearts, have shown that they have no interest at all in furthering the good of this country, most especially the constituents. We have abundance of evidence that they have no intention of changing direction anytime soon. So I don't know why Madam Chan would even bother. I could predict in my sleep that that would have been the outcome. So I am hoping that maybe she'll shame a few here and there, because we see what the Deputy Speaker said in the end. She was like, I think she wanted to say, save us all this time, save us the good speeches. Whoever has any shame left, please do it on an individual basis. This collective group cannot be interested in the public good.
You just remind me, the Speaker of the 10th Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, there was a campaign and they wanted to raise funds for Zambia Cancer Institute there. And they had to even issue forms of consent that those that felt it could be, let it be that way. But anyway, it's time for us to go back and get some music. We just want to wish our athletes, that is at the Olympics, that is Kiplimo Jacob, Chiptegai Joshua, and Chirimo Oscar, plus Winnie Nanyondo, success. May we get gold. That is the best we hope for, and we believe you'll be able to do us proud again when it comes to victory at the Olympics and more medals coming home. I will hand you to Priscilla and Steve Keys, ready to give you more music. And of course, it's Friday. We usher you into the weekend and spice up your weekend, giving you a feel of what you're missing, because some of these are rare to come by because entertainment places are not open as of now. Priscilla.
Well, many places are not open, Robert. You're very right. But here on Special Friday, we open up the mood for you into the weekend, especially with music. Steve Keys has aroused so many people's weekend start off. We do have Andrew Talemwa, who is asking if you're still an all-rounder, because back in school you played basketball, you played baseball, cricket, this and that. So are you still an all-rounder, or now you're a focused dude?
No, I used to be focused even then. I never find the time to do most of the stuff that I used to do. I used to play cricket, basketball, some little soccer, some little volleyball, sing. It was so much. I was young.
The government should have invested in heavily. Now you have to do a wine right somewhere for,
you know what I mean?
For Lakers, you get, right? We do have a message here. Good morning. Thanks for the show. This is Barley's Kitchen and Grill. Okay, Barley's, you sound like you're inviting us for breakfast.
They're sending us chicken?
They're sending us chicken.
I'm a chicken person.
Chicken person. Yeah. He likes chicken. Yeah. Well, I am the other meat person. Good morning, Uganda. Thanks for the Special Friday. The reality is that Ugandans disrespect COVID-19 containment measures, but want government to come in when hospitals, bills are, skyrocketing. That's a very nice one. Simple mathematics is that the way we fought AIDS back then is the way we have to fight COVID-19. Wear your mask, social distance, and also wash your hands. Good morning. This is Sergeant Bernard. Thank you, Sergeant Bernard. Sergeant Bernard also reminds me, Ton Kent Chose was asking himself, you said back in school you were what was the word? Yeah, you feared girls. So now that you're out of school, the fear for girls should also be out of you, right?
I don't fear girls.
Okay, you don't fear girls.
I don't fear girls, but I take relationships very seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, one last comment. Good morning, UBC. I'm here asking myself, why do we have members of parliament? I strongly say no, and a big no is why I say it. In all lockdowns, we had no MP that said they would be there for us until lockdown was opened. And so when it comes to them asking for their money, they're all about it. When it comes to us asking for our money, they cannot really back us up, which is very, very interesting. So I think those are responses from the news weekly roundup that we've had here on Good Morning Uganda with Robert Kirabo and Rachel Ntakali. Now we go into our special Friday music ballads. You were telling me about the story in school.
Which story?
Yeah, that one.
I've told you many stories. Which one exactly?
Okay, no, but we'll do the story after. You do have keys to finish up here. These are so many keys to play all in the time that we're left with. 6 stiff keys on the ones and the twos, ushering us into a lovely musical weekend.
This is one of my songs called Yegwe. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, that means you're the one. But it's a special song because, and this is one of the reasons why I do music. One guy came to me and told me, "Yo, say this song of yours that saved my marriage."
Wow.
Yeah, like we listened to it, me and my wife, when we are going through a very tough time, and you know, it's the one song that you know.
Music is food to the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this song is called Yegwe. Goes something like this. Ontusiza kuchire ekyomwenda, onchusiza onfudde wa mutindo, saba ampa omubeezi ansaanira era gwe ansa jampadde, kati nno nze nalimanyi siri sayizi yontimbireke, bwe wamwenya nendaba ekitangaala ekyo kimala seetaaga birala, omutima gwo yeppiro nze gye neezizika, luno oluyimba lulwo kubanga oli muzira, ebbanga liweze nga tulabagana naye kyewuunyisa tinkyafuna obuwojjolo munda muli, eno chansi gyenfunye nga tesangika, omuzannyo ngutadde ebbali, mukwano nja twagalane, kati nno nze nalimanyi siri sayizi yontimbireke, bwe wamwenya nendaba ekitangaala ekyo kimala seetaaga birala, omutima gwo yeppiro nze gye neezizika, luno oluyimba lulwo kubanga oli muzira, laba nze mpangudde akalulu era tufuuse omuntu oge, kati nno nze nalimanyi siri sayizi yontimbireke, bwe wamwenya nendaba ekitangaala ekyo kimala seetaaga birala, omutima gwo yeppiro nze gye neezizika, luno oluyimba lulwo kubanga oli muzira, kunsaba ampo mubeza nsanira era great answer Jampati. I found the love
for me,
darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. We were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I know we'll be alright this time. So darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own, and in your eyes you're holding mine. And baby, dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. When you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath, and you heard it, darling. You look perfect tonight. Oh baby, you look perfect. I give you all of me,
DJ Keys,
and you give me all of you. Oh, give me all of you. Cards on the table, we're both showing hearts, risking it all, though it's hard. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. I love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. And I give you all of me, oh, and you give me all of you, baby. I will never ever break my promise. That's my song. I will never ever turn away, yeah, for better or for worse. I will never turn my back against you. Newe bucha nebuziba chibuyaga newakunta. Oh, siri kule kulira, I'll always be by your side. Yeah, I love to love you. I love to love you, love you. I love to love you. I love to love you, love you.
It was so much a pleasure to to have you with us,
Thank you
Team
very
Keys.
much,
Thank you so
Priscilla,
much for
having
blessing
me.
us.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. Okay, good morning, Uganda. Special Friday does continue with special Olympics update with Ruben Pima Chivirango. And he's going to be talking about the Ugandan basketballer who plays for the Silverbacks and now has been drafted into the Toronto Raptors, right?
That guy's really good, though.
That guy's really good.
I've watched him play.
You watched him play?
His madness.
At least in the last window that we had for the qualifiers, Afrobasket, his points were up there. But Ruben, give us these details. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and